love the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running. I always take what I want and I always give it 100. Don't need a bank, no I'm funded. Play the game like it's nothing. I'm always thankful for something. Don't take for granted, stay humble. Now wake up! It's time to look at the enemy. Look in the mirror if he is no friend to me. It's not working out, maybe it's the chemistry. It's time to break up so I can make a better me. Better believe in your mind, cause it's everything. You can mold, shape, find almost anything. All it takes is some time and some clarity to find your identity. It's mind over everything.
Hey everyone, and welcome. Thank you so much for tuning in. We're joined live by some of the recent Wildlife Vet Experience students who have now been back a little bit after their trip. And we decided we wanted to have a little chat with them, see how the trip went, and yeah, maybe get some highlights. But to start off with, maybe if you guys can do a quick introduction of yourself, starting with Brett.
Yeah, hi, my name's Brett. I'm a final year student at the University of Edinburgh. I'm interested in mixed practice, but I've always loved exotics as well. And like Roger said, I just finished the trip and had the trip of a lifetime. It was amazing. And I'm excited to share my story with you guys.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Brett. Over to you, Beth.
Hi, everyone. So yeah, my name's Beth. I'm from the University of Bristol. I'm also final year. And I've also just been on the trip, which was just incredible because I have such an interest in wildlife and exotics. So yeah, it was just a dream.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Beth. And over to you, Miranda.
Hi, I'm Miranda. I'm also a final year from the University of Edinburgh. And I've also had an interest in exotics and wildlife for a while. So this was just the dream trip for me. And it was so much fun. And yeah, I'm just excited to share my experience.
Oh, thanks so much. And finally, Megan, hey.
Hi, I'm Megan. I'm also a final year at the University of Edinburgh. I'm mainly interested in small animals, but I really enjoy working with exotics, so I had a lot of fun on this trip.
Awesome. Thanks so much, guys. Well, it's okay with you. Let's just dive straight in. We've got quite a lot to cover, and I thought maybe we could, pick some of the highlights of your trip. I'm sure there's lots you'd love to tell sort of everyone about. But while it's fresh in your mind, maybe we can start with you, Brett. So obviously there's a lot of elements about the trip that it sort of takes to make up this trip. Maybe if we start with, you arrived, long journey from Johannesburg to get to where the trip was based. Why don't you tell us a bit about the first week's accommodation, to start off with that?
Yeah, the first week's accommodation were amazing. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't really know what to expect, but it was above and beyond. We ended up getting paired up, and so it kind of gave you a chance to get to know other people on the trip. And then there was a fire pit, so at night, we at the end of the day, hanging out around it, chatting about things we've seen, talking with Rico and Aiden. They answered questions, gave us a background about the area, for pretty much anything we had questions on. Accommodations were really nice. The food was great. All the staff are really welcoming and really nice. It honestly was beautiful and just amazing.
Oh, brilliant. Thanks so much. And maybe you can move on to you, Beth. So you got there the first night. You had the first chance to experience some South African cuisine before the week even started. So maybe that can lead you into telling us a little bit about the food side of things and what it was like for the food for the first week.
Yeah, the food was fantastic. We had Simon who was cooking for us in the first week. We had some traditional South African dishes, and actually I'm sort of vegan veggie, and that was really well catered for as well. So yeah, it was really yummy food, and it was a really nice chance for everyone to socialize over dinner. There was a big round table. Yeah, it was just a lovely time.
Oh, perfect. Okay, so great way to start. Miranda, maybe we'll move on to you next. So the first week was all about getting a sense of the game industry and the breeding side of things, and working with the local vet that's heavily involved in that kind of thing. So a lot of working with farmers and going to different reserves and their different farms and stuff like that. Would you like to give us a little bit of an overview about, how that experience kind of broadened your horizons and some of the experiences you had in that first week?
Yeah, so one of the reasons I wanted to do this trip is I wanted a realistic view of what a wildlife vet does. And this first week was definitely the most like, this is actually what a wildlife vet's life is like, because it was driving from farm to farm, and every time there he would set up with the farmers and discuss the plan with them of what was going to happen. And a lot of it was darting and transporting animals. And so that was really interesting to see because he was just ready with a dart gun every time and having to hit these animals mostly on the first shot if he could, because it was dangerous to just kind of and expensive to lose the darts. And then we got to get hands-on to help actually carry the animals and monitor breathing. And we were giving a lot of injections as well and finding out what kind of injections they give and what checks they do each time they sedate an animal, because if they're transporting it, they'll often do other things along the way. So they're not just darting it to move it. They try and put it all in one darting so they don't have to dart them multiple times. But yeah, it was just a very realistic view of what the day-to-day was going to be.
Oh, amazing. Okay. And then Megan, maybe we can move on to you. So what about, the evenings coming back after those sort of early starts and getting back sort of probably when it was, getting dark, and then some of the sort of additional activities that you guys, got to do in the spare time in the first week. Do you want to sort of elaborate on that a little bit for us?
The evenings were really cool. There's like some amazing sunsets, and then like at night you can see the Milky Way and stuff. So we did that. We hung out by the fire a lot and kind of just hung out. It's surprising you could actually stay up pretty late and still be able to get up early the next day just because you have so much energy and stuff. And they gave us like plenty of time to socialize. There's a pool, so we had a bit of a pool day. I found the water a little cold, but everyone else got right in. I'm a little bit of a chicken with the water. We also played some rugby in the dried up riverbed. That was pretty cool. And some antelope came over and were like right above us when we were playing.
Nice. Okay, perfect. So then maybe we'll jump back to you, Brett. So you finished off the first week and you had sort of that sort of series of experiences. And then obviously the plan for the trip was to give you now a new change of scenery and move you somewhere else. And you then went to a sort of a tented camp where you got a chance to do some glamping instead of staying in a lodge. Talk us through sort of arriving into that experience.
That was completely different from the first place, but just also a whole new experience and really nice. Like you said, it was glamping. The tents were really nice. They had showers, bathrooms, but you were also more immersed in like nature. It felt like the first place you were still on reserve as well. But while we were at the second one, you could hear lions roaring. We heard hyenas at night sometimes. There was a watering hole out back. So like we would all hang out on the deck by the pool, and we had elephants come up like really close. You could see them far. And so it just kind of felt more immersed with the nature compared to the first one. Also very nice. Another fire for us to hang out around. It was just a really good time.
Oh, that's such a good summary because, Beth, if I move on to you, one of the things that we were so keen on designing with us is giving you a chance to feel like you were surrounded by, that kind of environment all the time and having as much, many encounters with the local wildlife as possible rather than just being stuck in the middle of a town or a village or something like that. So why did you talk us about what your sort of moving into the second week, what your sort of drives to work were like as you were sort of leaving that reserve and some of the sightings you saw before the day even started?
So yeah, the fact that we were on the Big 5 game reserve and we were just staying there meant that every time we drove out of the game reserve or back into the game reserve, you literally just didn't know what you were going to come across. So we saw so many different elephants and breeding herds. We saw giraffes, we saw zebras, and on the way home one time, we were driving past this big male bull and he wasn't too happy that we were there. So he did this big sort of like, what do you call it? What's the word?
What, like a call, like a truck call?
Yeah. And we've got it on video, and it was really cool. It was like he was trumpeting us home or something. So yeah, just things like that just, or your journey out in the morning would take longer than you'd anticipate because some people had spotted some lions. Then we trundled off down a different track to make sure we got to see these lions, and just, yeah, it was just really cool that's what was living with you.
Perfect. And so then, Miranda, if we move on to you, obviously now you guys probably did even more braais than the first place, or your food side of things in the second week. So maybe you want to tell everyone what a braai is, why that's different to a traditional barbecue. Well, as us South Africans always like to think, of course, and some of your experiences with food and stuff like that in the second week.
Yeah, it was really great. I really did enjoy the braai. So the main difference is they cook it over hot coals instead of just like a huge fire. So they specifically like section out coals and heat up the grill before they put the meat on there to cook. And they also cooked some veggie options too. But it was just really good food, and I always got so excited when we got to do that. And then the chef at the second place was again just so accommodating. Always had our lunches ready, and most of the time they gave us like 2 sandwiches or 2 wraps in our lunch just to make sure we had enough food, which was needed because you don't realize how hungry you are until you sit down and eat. And so then, yeah, there's a lot of options for all the meals and for people who had dietary restrictions, and it was really good food. And then the braais was just such a fun environment. You just all hung out by the fire while they cooked and then ate really good food after and drank some beers. It was perfect.
Did you have something that you'd never had before, like a dish or type of meat or anything that was like completely different than you've ever had?
I never had oxtail before, and I tried it for the first time there, so that was really good.
Cool.
But yeah, it was different cuts than I think I've had before of meat. It was good.
So, Megan, I'm going to come back to you in a minute, but I thought maybe I'll jump back to Brett just because you got to spend a little bit more time at Hoedspruit Endangered Species Center, which is where you're based for the first half of the second week. So maybe you want to tell us a little bit about that experience and kind of what that place was like compared to obviously the first week's experience.
Yeah. So as part of the second week, went to the Hoedspruit Endangered Species Center, where they focus a lot on just conservation. They are really big on cheetahs. So it was really amazing. We got to help do feedings in the morning. They kind of talked about nutrition, common problems they had, supplementation they did to go ahead and overcome those problems that they had in the past. They also have quite a few other animals there that are there usually because they can't be released. They are really big on, if they do get an animal, that they go ahead and try to eventually release them, whether it be a soft or hard release. That's not always possible depending on what happens, but they do their best to go ahead and arrange that. But towards the end, it was just probably the last day of there, we were leaving, and I just kind of had the thought of, wow, I'm really sad to go. Like, I've had such an amazing time. And so I just kind of ended up extending my stay by a week, very last minute, about the night before, and ended up staying at HESC for another 5 days because they do accommodations and outreach programs with students. And it was really amazing. We got to kind of talk with the staff a little bit more. They're super welcoming, answer all of our questions, very encouraging, like really want you to be involved and learn a lot. And they're just such great teachers. They have so much knowledge from all of the experience that they've acquired over the years. And each of them have walked so many different paths of life. And through that have like taken so many different jobs in different locations all around the world with different species. So it was a really good and informative placement. And it was awesome. I clearly liked it. I stayed an extra week. So
Oh, amazing. No, thank you so much. I know you have to shoot off in a minute, so thank you so much for squeezing that in before you have to go. I think I'll move over to you, Megan. So during that time, you got to work with a different vet now, and it's someone that obviously we've been used to working with for a few years now on Wildlife Vet Online, and obviously we're very keen on you spending some time with Dr. Peter Rogers. So maybe you want to talk us through a little bit about your experiences and your time with him.
Dr. Rogers, he loves teaching. Like from the moment you met him, you could tell he just loves to teach. And he started off at HESC. He knew nothing about cheetahs, and just through experience basically learned everything about cheetahs and how to handle them and like what medications to give and what diseases they get. So he knows a lot about cheetahs and a lot about other wildlife. He's always excited to get like us as involved as possible, and he's happy to answer questions. He's a really friendly guy. He hung out at the braai with us. We got to meet his family and everything. It was really great working with him.
Oh, amazing. Okay, thank you so much. And Beth, so then, see you, Brett. Thank you so much. So then during that second week, we managed to do some cheetah checkups and everything with Dr. Rogers. And so after that, we did spend a bit of time with some community projects. So maybe do you want to elaborate a little bit on the day that was spent with Daktari and Nourish?
Yeah, so we spent a day. In the morning, we went to Daktari. It's a bush school. So we basically did a little presentation for the children that were there and talked about how we got into vet school, why we wanted to do it, what was our interests, and sort of gave any advice that we could. and talked a little bit about our experiences on the trip as well. And it was so lovely to be there. We got a really nice tour of, they keep some animals there to engage the children and to promote conservation. So that was really cool. We got to hold a meerkat. But yeah, it was really wholesome, and everyone was so engaged, and it was lovely to just see if we could try and inspire sort of the next generation of potential vets. And yeah, it was really lovely to be there. So I think everyone really enjoyed it. And yeah, I would definitely say it's a key part to the trip. You should keep that going. And then in the afternoon, we went to Nourish, which is this kind of eco village. Who have lots of different projects going on within the site, and they're anything from sort of an after-school reading club to a girls' club to trying to use all the different kind of materials or plants or sort of the natural environment to use that in a sustainable way to help people in the surrounding villages sort of utilize what they've got around them. They also are encouraging people in the surrounding villages to sort of make crafts and stuff, and then they can sell them there. So it's just, there's loads of different little projects going on, but basically just to better everyone's lives around them, and to make sure that they can sort of use what is currently around the area rather than having to import anything. It's really fantastic, the work that they're doing, and we got to plant some trees. So yeah, just to offset our carbon footprint. We also had a really traditional lunch there with, I'm going to get the pronunciation of this wrong. It's like pulp, that's it. But it's sort of this mazy, it's a bit like rice, but not quite like rice. But you sort of mold it into a little ball and then have it with sort of beans and vegetables and stuff. It was really tasty, actually. So yeah, it was a really cool experience to go there.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And then Miranda, let's jump back to you. So the final sort of, well, second last maybe working day, but the final main day of the trip on the second Friday. Obviously a very exciting experience that you guys managed to do. I wonder if you want to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, that you're talking about the helicopter darting, right? Yes, that was a huge highlight for everyone, I would think. That was my first ever time in a helicopter too, and to think that I was doing darting practice from it was just amazing. The pilot, Gary, was one of the best people we met too. He was so skilled at what he does, and he made you feel very comfortable while you're also hanging out of the helicopter. And I don't know, it was really exciting to do it. I didn't even care if I hit the target or not, but it was insane. Definitely one of the coolest things I've ever done. And then it was just really exciting to see everyone else's faces when they got out of the helicopter and how excited we all were. It was a very, very cool afternoon.
Who actually ended up getting the closest shot to the bullseye on that? Can you remember?
Yeah, it was actually not anyone from our group. It was one of someone who was with Dr. Peter Rogers, and she was the only one who got inside like the little green. Everyone else got inside the check, but no one got into the little green except for her. She got right on the edge of it, so she was the best.
Nice. And then Megan, so then that final Saturday, you got to spend a time with a little bit of a community outreach project. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
I'm sorry, I'm blanking about the chronological order things.
Halo. Can you remember the?
Oh yeah, that was a lot of fun. That was a bit of an add-on. We weren't expecting to do that, but it was really cool seeing how that's work with small animals in like that type of community. So literally, the villagers, they just brought their dogs up. The dogs were just walking around loose. A dog would be put on the table in front of you, and you would do like a full exam, give them any vaccines that needed to be done. If it was looking sick or whatever, you would alert the Halo people, and they would decide whether or not they wanted to keep the dog or if they needed to give any antibiotics or anything and send him home. So that was really cool because I've never seen that type of medicine before. It's very different than like your standard small animal practice in the UK.
Amazing. Okay, thank you. And then obviously the sad journey back to the airport, and there was 2 weeks, I guess, with quite a lot crammed in. I suppose when you look back to it and you see how much you actually achieved, absolutely amazing, and some incredible pictures and videos. So I'm going to put you guys on the spot now, starting with Beth, if that's okay. See how good you are. So basically, if you were to pick one thing from that trip that just blew your mind, or was something that was something that you weren't expecting, or something that was just really incredible that you absolutely loved and you wouldn't trade for anything, could you share that? And then also, if you can, just any tips that you've got for any future participants that might want to go out and then do something like this.
Oh, I'm probably going to steal someone's favorite moment. So it has to be, I think the wow moment was working with the rhinos and doing the horn trimming, just because you're really actually making an impact, and they're so endangered right now and learning about that and the politics that surround that was so interesting. And it's such a shame that this is happening and we're having to take these drastic measures of horn trimming, but just to be able to actually get involved, make a difference, support people that are doing this kind of work and need all the help that they can get. It was just really moving. We were working with someone who was clearly very passionate and so emotional about it, that it just really touched all of us, and it was a fantastic experience to get involved with. And something that we should all try in any way that we can. I don't know whether we could do some fundraising or something, but it's really needed right now. Top tips. It's going to sound silly, but take whatever you can to make sure you get some good sleep on the plane, because you're going to be ready to go. You just need to get as much sleep when you're there as well. Just try and whatever you can do to make sure your sleep is the best sleep, so that you've got as much energy as possible throughout the day is probably my top tip. Whatever it is, I don't know, read before bed for 5 minutes to just make sure you're completely off. That would be my top tip.
That is not what I was expecting, but it's actually a great tip. Actually, I really like that.
Sorry, should I made it more clinical?
No. Actually, that's exactly the kind of things, because it's the things that people don't think about. So I think that's absolutely brilliant. So no, thank you for that. And about the rhino dehorning and stuff like that. So you guys have all got your individual fundraisers going. Let's try and get those going. And people don't often think that little bits can make a difference, but they really do. Thanks to you guys going out, we managed to fund several things during the trip that we wouldn't have been able to have been done, or the funding would have had to come elsewhere had it not been for you guys. So this bit of involvement or fundraising from a distance does really make a difference. And if we believe otherwise, then the world is doomed. We have to really believe that we can do these little bits when we can. So yeah, definitely. Thanks so much for that, Beth. So Miranda, I don't know if you're feeling like you can be put on the spot for a highlight and then maybe some tips.
Yeah. For me, definitely the highlight was we got an opportunity to work with Dr. Peter Rogers on TV testing some lions, which I didn't even know they did. So I was coming in completely blind, but he's an amazing teacher. So it was so fun to learn with him. And also we got to go in, and a few of us got to even do some injections and stuff with the lion, which is, again, something I never thought I would ever be doing. And it was really, really cool. So that was definitely a highlight for me to see that process and to get to participate in it. It was amazing. A top tip. I guess I would just say go in with an open mind, because there is a very different way of doing things because of the situation that happens. So even out of veterinary medicine, when you go into Nourish, completely blew my mind with a lot of the stuff that they were doing differently there, and the way that you have to think about things, because it's a complicated situation working with wildlife, and there's so many different factors being pulled in. So it's kind of important to go in and really be opening to listening to everyone's perspective on it, because you hear a lot, and it's very interesting stuff, and it points perspective on why it's so hard to protect some of these animals out there, and why it's such a privilege to get to go and work with them too. So that would be my tip, I guess.
No, that's actually such good tip and advice, actually, because and I think you summed it up in that word, complicated industry, because it really is. And one of the things, obviously, we wanted you guys to achieve was to see the different elements. Some of the stuff, hard to see sometimes, and some of the stuff, absolutely fascinating and inspiring. Different kinds of people, all the things that go into it, and yeah, I mean, that's I think it's so nice that you said that, because 100% it is so complicated, and even like you said, bringing in the community side of things. Is just that whole different side that obviously a lot of people don't often see when they go and do something like this, and what involvement do they have, and what are the different projects that they've got going on. So no, that's absolutely amazing. Thank you so much. And then Megan, what about you for a top tip and your highlights of the trip?
I really enjoyed working at HESC. I enjoyed learning about how they're trying to protect endangered species, through different breeding programs. I know their main focus was cheetahs, but they were talking about starting up a wild dog breeding program. So they have a small group of wild dogs that they're not yet breeding because they don't have the diversity yet with the genetics. And then just going around and helping them feed all the animals. My favorite one was the southern ground hornbill. So I learned a lot about him, and he's a really fun bird. I've never heard of them before, so that was my first time meeting one. And then I guess for tips, when you're packing your clothes, definitely bring layers. The middle of the day is very hot. You want to go down to almost a tank top. And then it really helped having the hiking pants that zip off into shorts. But then at nights it gets pretty cold and the vehicle can get very windy. So having a hood and layers definitely helps.
Amazing. Oh, I absolutely love that from the three of you. So we got the hiking pants that go into shorts, absolutely brilliant. We got the sleep, so important, from Beth. Miranda, we've got open mind. You've got to go in there just, willing to learn and willing to, understand that things might be done differently, and just really just embrace everything as you can and take it all in. So absolutely fantastic advice. Guys, thank you so much for spending the time chatting about this. Obviously hope to get you back to South Africa again in the future and show you around some different things. For those of you that are new to this experience and new to what sort of role the expedition project plays in this, Brett mentioned before that she stayed on and actually worked with Hitsburg Endangered Species Center after this trip. So obviously we do engage with projects like that on an individual basis as well as on the group trips, and we're always looking to design new and innovative kind of trips. So we always look for you guys to send in your thoughts and your advice. And if you've got a group that you want to get together as one big group and you want us to help design something and make it more cost effective that way, and we can do that. Because Expedition Project is a social enterprise, we really want to make it as affordable for you as possible and have as much money as possible going to the different projects, going to the different vets, going to the procedures and all of that. That's obviously so important to us. But obviously, on top of even that is we want Beth, Megan, Miranda, and all the others that went on a trip like this to come back with a real smile and having experienced something that was different, maybe not what they're expecting, maybe what they were expecting plus a little bit more, learn something new, experience something different, meet loads of different people, and yeah, just come away with as many experiences as possible. So obviously that's the ultimate goal. But thank you so much everyone who's tuning in. If you want to reach out to any of us, obviously you can. I'm sure they'll happily tell you about the trip, and you can go and read up about it on the Expedition Project website. Look out for more on these kind of trips, and yeah, just thank you so much for tuning in. Beth, thank you so much. Megan, thank you so much, and Miranda, thank you so much, and we'll see you soon. Take care all. Bye.
Love the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running. I always take what I want and I always give it 100. Don't need a bank, no I'm funded. Play the game like it's nothing. I'm always thankful for something. Don't take for granted, stay humble. Now wake up! It's time to look at the enemy. Look in the mirror if he is no friend to me. It's not working out, maybe it's the chemistry. It's time to break up so I can make a better me. Better believe in your mind, cause it's everything. You can mold, shape, find almost anything.